Okay, so I still got the bearing. So like I mentioned before, you want to put your bearing in the freezer before you try to put it in. It makes it a lot easier to put it in because the metal starts to shrink, and then so it makes it easier to put in. We may be able to just push it in. Well, maybe, but just in case, we will use the press. So this is a washer I found just kind of lying around in my collection, and it fits over the bearing almost perfectly. Well, it's a little bit smaller than the bearing, but it's okay. The only problem is that it's touching the inner part of the bearing, the inner race. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind this a little bit until we can see that until we can see the center portion of the bearing, and then we should be good. That we don't want to you don't want to press on that part of the bearing because that's how we damage the bearing. You want to press on the outside because the outside is just, it holds everything in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it like a grinder and then just grind this open. Okay, HadesOmega here. Fast forward to about an hour later, and there you have it. So I'm not gonna lie. If you actually purchased a press to do this, or if you have one lying around and you don't have the right size bearing race presser thing, it's called a driver, I think is what it's called. Go ahead and buy one. It's like $40 at Harbor Freight or something. I'm sure you can get it other places too. But anyway, I went ahead and made one. I have a feeling that I'm probably gonna need that driver kit for something else in the future. So I probably should have went and bought it, but I just went and made one. So basically, it's that washer I showed you, and I bored it out so it would go over. It would not touch the inner race. You want to press on the outer race. So basically what we're going to do, so you can see here, you can see the inner race now. I grinded it until you can see it. So I know it's not touching it at all. And it just barely fits in there. It's a little bit smaller, which is good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push it in with the 32 millimeter socket here. Yeah, so the 32 millimeter socket won't do it. See, it's inside, it's in the middle. It's even worse. So you're pressing on like the center of the bearing, the meat of the bearings basically. You want to press on the bread, like the outer bread, not the bottom bread, right? So it's just gonna go like that, and we're gonna press it, and it'll go down. So now I have now that I have this little tool, I can stick this in my little box of weird tools, and I can use it for other stuff. If I have some other buddies with the F650GS, I can press their wheel bearings, and I believe the wheel bearings are about the same size too. So it's like a 3-for-1 deal, All right, so that's ready, and so I am prepared to drive that sucker into the hub after lunch. All right, HadesOmega out. Okay, HadesOmega here, and this is the part where we install the bearing into the Sprocket carrier hub. So here's how I'm going to do it. We're going to do it on the press. You could just beat it in with a hammer, I guess, but you would need something to drive it in. And the proper way to drive it in, like I mentioned, is to have like a driver that pushes on the outside race, like the one I just made right now. So what I did was I took the washer and I bored it out so it doesn't touch this inner part at all. It's only touching the outer race. And then we're going to use a 32 millimeter socket to on top of it to help drive it in. Maybe we don't need, I don't know. Let me see this. Yeah, we'll use the socket. It fits a little better. The important thing is you want to apply all the forces to the outside race, not the inside, because then you could potentially mess up the bearing. All right, so these are the parts that you'll need. The Sprocket carrier hub, obviously. The spacer that you just took out, remember to put that back in. It just pretty much just goes back in like this. This is how it's shaped. It's kind of like it's got a little T part shaped like a T, sorta, so it keeps it from falling out. it's actually kind of nice. You don't have to worry about losing spacers or anything, and it just kind of just sits in there. Make sure you put it on something secure when you're going to press it in. The snap ring, but we won't need that quite yet. That's the last part. Well, that's the second to the last part. And then you're gonna need your bearing. So what I did is I froze the bearing. I have the actual bearing. This is the old bearing. I have the new bearing in the freezer. I left it in there overnight. We're gonna take it out and we're gonna see if we can just slide it in there. But before that, I'm gonna go put a little bit of grease on the inside to help push it down. Just very light amount. Ta-da! Okay, so I got some automotive grease here. I'm just gonna go get a little dab on my finger, and we'll just put some on the so the part where the bearing is going to be sliding, I don't know, it's probably going to slide through the whole thing. So I would just put some on, put some on the whole inside part. It's nice clean grease, so I don't mind getting it on my finger. Okay, and maybe there was a bit of a grease on this, on the spacer when I took it out, so I'll go ahead and put a little bit on that. Just a little bit. Okay, put that back in, and we're ready to install. And then if there's any excess grease that comes out, you can just wipe it off. Alright, so make sure this is secure in the right spot. Shouldn't put too much pressure on the hub if if you're doing it right. Alright, so I'm gonna go put this grease away here. And I will go get the bearing real quick. Get it. And okay, there it is. I got my frozen bearing in my hand, and we're going to just try to put it in there. I'm going to put it with the logo facing up. So hopefully it'll just slide right in. You got to do it quick so it doesn't get warm again. Oh! So I'm going to try to press it in there. My hands, it slid in quite a bit and then it just stopped. So unfortunately, sometimes that happens. Sometimes it just goes straight down. So that means we got to use the press now. So we're gonna go get our little washer here, put it over there, make sure it's not touching the inner race. Unfortunately, this is not high enough. I'm gonna try to push it up a little bit. Okay, that's not gonna work. We'll probably just have to push it just like it is right there. Or could use the old bearing, but the old bearing is like the perfect size. So what we're gonna have to do is, I think we're gonna have to lower this. Alright, I'll go ahead and lower this. Okay, I went and lowered it. Hopefully that's enough. If not, I can just put an extension on that. So I'm going to go ahead and start lowering the press. Okay. Let's make sure it's all lined up right. Start pressing it in. Just keep on going until you kind of see it bottom out. It feels like it bottomed out just now. Go ahead and take it out. So you wanna press it far enough so you can see the snap ring in there, the snap ring groove. and then that's it. It's in there. So you don't have to worry about going too far. It'll just stop. And if you do it anymore, you're probably gonna mess it up. So there it is. So freezing it helped to get it past the first portion. I guess I'm thinking this first portion here, where the seal goes, is actually wider. It's a bigger bore than the rest of it. It's a pretty tight fit. So there it is. Bearings in there, and then we just have to put the snap ring on there now. So here's the snap ring. I'll just kind of lay it on top, and we'll get our snap ring pliers, and I'll go zoom in. Okay, I got my snap ring pliers here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the snap ring dealie. I'm gonna go compress the spring. Compress the clip. Okay. Okay, so it's kind of in there, but not really. You're gonna have to press on the snap ring until it goes in, and make sure it's in there all the way. It doesn't look like it's in there all the way. You may have to hit it with a screwdriver or something. Just gotta play with it a little bit. And if it doesn't go in all the way, it could mean that you didn't press the bearing in all the way. So but I think we did. So let's go ahead and get a screwdriver. Put that sucker in there. Messing the bearing up. So you can see I got, I'm not sure. It's got, the end parts are in there. This part and this part, but this part doesn't want to go in all the way. So just keep on trying to work with it. Probably take it out and put it back again. Kind of spin it around in there a little bit. It should fit because the other ends fit. Unless that part doesn't go in all the way. So if you're having trouble, just move it around in there a little bit. And it should just stay in there. I think that's fine. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's supposed to go in all the way. It looks like it is. Maybe it will eventually. I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be crooked like that. I will go look and see a previous video of. But yeah. It definitely looks like these ends are in. These ends are kind of in, and this one, maybe it's not going in all the way, but I tried my best to get it in there, so I think that's the way it's supposed to look. Okay, and then so once you got your snap ring on there, you're pretty much done. You just need to just need to push in your new seal, and I have not got that, so the next part of this video will be when I get the seal and we put it in there. Alright, HadesOmega out. So just, the important thing is whatever you do, make sure this spacer is in here before you put the bearing in, because then you'll be screwed. I just want to reiterate that again. So I did I went back and looked at the video, and it does look like it's supposed to go on like that. So the way it's supposed to look like when it's done is these two are like in all the way, but you can still see the holes. You can see a good chunk of the bearing right here, and then basically the snap ring goes to right before it gets to the seal. It's not quite over the seal, but yeah. So I mean, that should hold it on there. It's not going nowhere. Trust me, it ain't going anywhere. But yeah, that should be fine. As long as you get the snap ring in there. So like I said, if you're having trouble, compress it and then move it around in the groove, and then you should be fine. So there it is. The next part is to install the seal. Okay, HadesOmega here. It's been a couple days since I shot the last video, but I got the seal today from BMW. So if you're wondering how much this guy costs and what the info is on it, I know I mentioned it earlier in the video, but its description is a shaft seal. Part number is 36318561711. Again, 36318561711. You can pause that if you want to get that number. And it was $16.99 from BMW. And I had to special order it, and it took like about 2 days. And I can tell you now, there is a all balls wheel bearing kit that comes with the bearing. This bearing, and then the other two bearings for your wheel. So if you want to get the whole kit, All Balls sells one, and it comes with both seals. So, like I said, the whole dealie is 3 bearings and 2 seals. So and what we just the sprocket carrier. If you're just doing the sprocket, the bearing for the rear sprocket hub carrier is you just need the bearing and the seal. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take this guy out. Brand new. Okay, so just put it in like a bag within a bag type deal. There's the part number again if you want to pause it. BMW Group. And there's the seal. Alright, so I think we can just put it on just like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and install the seal. It should be pretty easy. This looks a little different from the old one, but yeah, so anyway, it's pretty easy to install. If you're lucky, you can probably just press it in there with your thumbs. So we're going to try that right now. And there is probably a little bit of grease on this hub still from when we installed the bearing. Okay, if you're having a little trouble, it's having a little trouble seating right there, you can go ahead and get a socket. Probably a 32 millimeter should do it. Help you press it in. Yeah, there. See, it went in a lot better. So I'll just use my body weight to push it in. Probably hammer it in a little bit. It might have helped if we greased it a little bit. Is what I'm gonna say. So I'm just gonna give it some quick taps with a hammer. You can probably use a press to do it also. So when it's in there flush, you're pretty much done. I would say don't use the press to do it. You don't really need the press to do this. And then that's it. And all that really does is it just prevents dirt from getting to the bearing. That's it. And then your spacer will plug that. So that's it. When you go install this again, when you go put this back on your wheel and put your wheel back on, you're going to want to put a little bit of grease on the lip here. Okay, so you're going to want to put a little bit of grease here on the lip, just to help make a seal with the spacer, and so that, like, you know, it's got some kind of lubricant on it because it spins on that stuff. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, that stuff will probably have grease from your chain and stuff on it too. So, but just dab a little bit of grease on there. All right, that's it. That's the end of that's the last part of the sprocket hub carrier bearing. install. Just put the seal back in. You might be able to reuse it. We might have been able to use the old one if you remember. It was I kind of messed it up taking it out. I think if you use the pry bar, you might not damage it. I used a screwdriver, and that's probably what damaged it. All right, so there you go. Hope you learned something. HadesOmega out.